Hi everybody, it's just gone 10 o'clock on Thursday the 18th of October. I went home this morning, as you saw in the first clip, and had a super quick turnaround. Like, I got the bus there and then literally was in the house for about 10 minutes, ran back to the bus stop and got the bus back, and then came back up to the hospital and had my ward round. It was really quite positive, although my CPN wasn't able to be present. She rarely is, but like, she was actually meant to come to this one, but stuff kicked off in the community, so she couldn't come, but that was okay. And then, so what was discussed in ward round? Basically, I'm going to go home tomorrow on leave again. We discussed, they want me to start lithium. I don't really want to start lithium. I feel like I've done the last 17 years without lithium, so we could probably just manage the next 6 months without lithium. It's got like quite a lot of big, it's like a big decision really. They've given me some information leaflets on it. They're talking about the fact that although my mood is affected by my hormones, it's still emotionally, like, I'm still unstable, and lithium is a mood stabilizer which could potentially help it. But obviously it's got a lot of side effects and risks associated with it, and I just think I've come this far without it. Like, why start it now? But I can see the psychiatrist's point of view. Like, his job is to try and stabilise my mood and to make things better for me mentally and psychologically stable. So he's obviously got to offer whatever he can think of in terms of drugs that could aid that. And that's what he's come up with the pharmacist. But he's very open to listening to my ideas and views and respecting what I want to say. And I think at the moment I've said I'll discuss it in my ward round next week, because my CPN is going to come to that, and that's next Thursday. But my gut feeling is that I'm not going to take it. We also discussed my fluoxetine, which is the antidepressant that I take cyclically, because as soon as I sort of come out of the acute phase of my PMDD, I start going a bit hypomanic when I take that. So I said I'll just take it when I'm starting to feel down, and carry on taking it until sort of it switches and flips over and I start to feel well again, because I don't want to be going into hypomania. I've never ever struggled with hypomania until they put me in the medical menopause and got this plan in place. Another thing we talked about in ward round was that they want to have like a best interest meeting or a best care planning meeting. So that's where lots and lots of professionals get together and they check that what they're doing is the right plan for me and that there's nothing better that they can do. So when this plan was established, the idea was that I would be having listed for a hysterectomy in August and be having it probably towards the end of the year. That's what the understanding of everybody was. As it turned out, I went to the surgeon's appointment with a gynecology surgeon and she didn't list me, so we're kind of a few months behind with that, and I understand her reasons for not listing me. Like, she wanted more evidence and stuff, and at the end of the day she's going to be the one responsible for taking my reproductive hormones and reproductive future away, so she needs to be sure that she's doing the right thing with me being young and make sure that they really have tried everything, which they have, but she just needs to be sure of that herself. So that's pushed everything back quite a lot. And then so because now this plan's been in place 3 or 4 months, they just want to review it and check that there isn't another better option for me. I mean, everybody that I spoke to said the likelihood is there really isn't a better option, but it's kind of a tick box exercise to make sure. We can't just carry on using a plan willy-nilly, like not really checking that there's aren't any other options. So hopefully that meeting will include myself, my psychiatrist on the ward, the nurses from the ward, my CPN from the community, hopefully my psychologist from the community, but we're not really sure. They've been trying to get in touch with the team in London. My GP wants to attend. I think somebody from the crisis team will attend because that's who set up this plan with us before. And I seem to remember them saying some other manager. I can't remember who. But anyway, it's going to be quite a big meeting. So when I've got a date for that, I'll update you further. I am quite scared about that because this plan is the first time in like 17 years that I felt safe and supported, and that people were understanding me and treating me like for my condition, and understood that it was what was going on, and that I was in control and had a safety net and things, and that I wasn't putting my life at risk all the time. And so the thought of that being taken away is really, really scary. Like, I don't want to go back to living how I was living. I don't like living how I'm living currently, but the thought of going back to trying to manage this in the community without the right support is really, really scary. When you're really distressed anyway in a PMDD episode, the last thing I want to do is like go through crisis team and A&E and different doctors and medical wards and things, and potentially ending up in different hospitals or different wards or different units. So I personally feel that this is the right way forwards, and I wouldn't say happy to continue with this plan, but as things stand, this feels the safest option until they have surgery. The other thing we discussed was medication and fertility. Again, my psychiatrist on the ward is really good and open-minded, and he brought up the fact that there's not really any research or evidence of what effects psychiatric drugs have on eggs or embryos, and like in the fertility process or anything. So the suggestion was that during the time when I'm having my fertility treatment, I will try and abstain from psychiatric drugs as much as possible. I mean, we did talk about the fact that maybe I take lorazepam every now and again, but aside from that, we'll try and abstain from everything else to give my eggs the best possible chance. We also acknowledge the fact that fertility treatment is going to mean changes in hormone levels, and I am likely to become quite unwell psychologically, and will probably need to be in the hospital. But let's not try and predict the future, and we'll deal with that when we get to it. I think that was about it from the meeting. Yeah, home tomorrow, on leave, back on Thursday next week for a meeting, a ward review, think about lithium, think about fertility. Yeah, that's about it. On top of that, I actually have had a letter. I mean, how super quick was this? So I saw the fertility people on Tuesday, and I've already had a letter from them. So I'll give you a rough overview. I'm going to refer to the letter because I can't remember it all. So basically it says that we had this meeting to discuss the preservation in the form of egg freezing for premenstrual dysphoric disorder, because they are planning a total abdominal hysterectomy and bilateral saphengoophorectomy under the care of my team in London. It says that they reviewed me with my parents in the fertility clinic to discuss the fertility preservation options. It notes that I was diagnosed with PMDD in 2016, in which I've been under the care of a local gynaecologist and then referred to the hospital in London. It says that I'm currently on GnRH injections, and that I've been on them since November 2017, and it states what medications that I'm on, and that I have a significant intolerance to progesterone, and therefore I can't take any preparations of that at all, and that I'm not really having any proper periods for some time now, although I do get discharge. It says that they went through all the options with me regarding the impact of the procedure on my fertility, and the fact that we talked about the best option for fertility preservation would be egg freezing, as I'm currently single. It says that they've already got funding for this, and thanks my GP for sorting that out. And then we talked about the possible treatment protocols and processes, and that in the future, if I would like to try and have a biological child, I would need to go through IVF and surrogacy. And we talked about the associated success rates, which are better than they were in the past, but they're not essentially that great. So I think they said they would try to collect 5 to 10 eggs, and of those 5 to 10 eggs, each egg has a 50% chance of viability, and once it's been implanted into the surrogate, there is, I think they said it could be about a 35% chance of that egg becoming a viable baby. They didn't really say if that rate is lowered because it would be in a surrogate. So I think my chances of having a child that's biologically mine are probably looking at, you know, about 25 to 30% rate. You know, advances might be made, but then the longer the egg's frozen, the more the chances of success rate decrease. So one of the things that does really annoy me all the time is people keep saying to me, oh, you know, you've got this egg freezing, you've got all these options, you know, you keep saying that you're not going to have children, but you probably will. And actually, in reality, I probably won't. Like, that's the reality of it. I probably won't have my own biological child, which is really upsetting. But I sort of think that if I don't have this surgery, I don't have a life. Coming in and out of hospital twice a month is not a life. And I don't want to carry on living like this. I feel like surgery is my only option, and every time I have an episode, I think, oh my god, this is not PMDD, like I'm really poorly, I must have something really wrong with me, like mentally, like some mental illness like depression or anxiety, or some way out illness that nobody's diagnosed yet. And then within, like, you know, 48 hours of that's passed and I feel like I feel today. And yes, I'm a little bit emotionally unstable, I'm still coming out at the end of the episode, but like the thought of hurting myself is like a million miles from my mind, and I would hate to try and hurt myself right now. And yeah, there's loads going on for me, but I'm really well supported, and I just have to be really thankful for that. I'm also sleeping loads at the moment, like loads. I did get up at 5 this morning, but then I slept from like 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. and I'm so tired. But yeah, the staff are all really good, and my family are really good, and everybody is so good and so supportive. Like, I couldn't ask for a better supportive team in terms of my mental health team and my friends and family. Like, I am so thankful and so lucky. And it's a really crap situation, but it is what it is, and I'm dealing with it. And hopefully, like, there's a better future out there once I've had surgery. I won't have to live through this anymore, and I can actually get on with living my life, because, you know, life begins at 30, guys. Well, it's gonna, in my case, it better begin at 30, because living like this is really exhausting. It's tiring, it's emotionally draining, it's physically draining, it's just horrendous, basically. I'm so thankful, but it is so horrendous, and I wouldn't wish this on anybody. And if you're out there suffering, then please try and get support, and know that you're not alone, and know that you're not alone, and that you can get through this. And even if you're in a really bad place with your PMDD and you're going through a really bad episode of PMDD, it will get better. Like, hold on, because next week you'll feel completely different. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Just keep going and keep fighting.